And I was in the army for up in north of Norway, and during a winter exercise I got really sick.
Oh.
When I was lying there, I just thought about my life and what I wanted to do, and music was like the thing that made perfect sense. There's no worries in life, Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
My brother, he wanted to backphrase that and say like Hakuna Matata and give me a hug, but he was a little tipsy, you can say, because it was after party and we had been drinking a little. So he said it wrong, he said Hakuna Matoma. No wonder you have like muscles.
You can tell?
Yeah, you can tell.
You can hold this for like an hour every day sometimes, okay?
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive.
Hi, today I'm here with MATOMA.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So you were born in Norway, right? Or?
No, I'm actually born in China.
In Shenzhen.
Yeah, in Shenzhen. No, yes, I'm born in Norway.
Were your parents born there as well?
Yeah. No, my dad is actually from Sweden.
Oh.
So he grew up in Sweden, and then he met my mom in I think it was Spain, Tenerife or something, or yeah, I think it was maybe Tenerife.
Oh.
Yeah, they were there on holiday.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they met and they danced, and then they exchanged numbers, and he moved to Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you say where you're from? It starts with a T, right? How do you pronounce it?
Oh, Trondheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the place where I'm from. That's the place I live in now, and I've lived the last 6 years.
Right.
So I took my bachelor there in music production and technology.
Yeah.
And then the place I grew up in is actually called Frisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a small town on the east side, next to the Swedish border.
Yeah.
And it's basically maybe like 1,000 people.
Is there like a main industry, or like what is it like?
It's they have like a lot of forest around there, so so they import and actually they export a lot of wood.
Yeah.
From that area, and they also make. We had one big factory that made toothbrushes. But they closed it and they sold the company to a company in England, so that was sad. Yeah, a lot of people lost their jobs. So.
Oh, so there wasn't even like anything like music there, really, right? Or
no, just like a music school for kids. Yeah, so I remember maybe in the whole town 10 or 15 kids played piano.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was one of them.
How do you describe yourself back then, growing up?
Oh, I was a clown, just goofing around, and I think I had a lot of energy. My mom said that I never could sit still, and I liked being around my brother, and he didn't like having me around him. So
what? But he showed you like really old school hip hop, right?
Yeah, but that was when we were. I was 7, 8 years old. So and it was only me and him in our house. But when he was out with friends and stuff, he was a little embarrassed because bringing along his little brother.
Right.
And I was like, if Dan did something, I was like, yeah, me too. I want to do that too. Me too. So my mom and dad, they just called me Too.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
What are your parents' personalities like?
Oh, my mom is the sweetest. Super sweet. And lovely woman with... Yeah, she cares about everybody. And my dad, he is funny, strange. He's very... he's very... How can I say it? He likes being around himself, but he loves taking care of his family.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do they do?
My dad is he was a teacher. Now he works at what is it called? He works for the county.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom, she's a school nurse.
And your dad did some stuff in Africa, right, for the UN?
Yeah.
Was that part of his like job, or was that more of like a community service?
No, he at that time he was a teacher, and he got into this program. So they went down there and in Uganda and worked for like on a project. So
yeah, that's so cool. What kind of music were they playing in the house?
Oh, my mom loves ABBA. Yeah, and also Elvis. Yeah.
Do you think that influenced the music you make?
No, I didn't like. I like the melodies, but it was a little too much. Like, I don't know. I liked more hip hop and music that was like the kids played in my age. Yeah, Elvis and ABBA is like a different time age for us. So,
were you into school back then? Like, did you like school?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked more being active and doing sports and playing around, and I loved piano and playing the piano, the keys. So I spent a lot of time doing that. I was probably practicing between 3 and 5 hours each day. Yeah.
And you played some big stuff, like really like famous Norwegian pianists.
No, I wasn't famous Norwegian.
But you played with them or something.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to play with some big names, and that was very inspiring for me. So, but at some point, I think I was like 16 years old. I wanted to do some other stuff, and I bought a computer and I started producing just for fun. It was a hobby back then. It's still a hobby, but more as a job now. Yeah. So no, I've been really lucky to be able to live and work with my music on full time, because not many can do that. Yeah. Yeah, it's really a dream come true.
What kind of subjects were you into at school back then?
I liked geography, history. I liked. I liked math, and also like science. Yeah.
After high school, and then you had to join the military, right?
Yeah, I was in the military for. Back then it was mandatory. I'm not sure if it's mandatory right now. I don't think so. But back then, if you reach the like the requirements for fitness, health, and also like the tests, you got a letter saying that you had to serve.
Yeah. Did you want to, or what if you just like didn't do so well, so you didn't need to go?
Yeah, you could fake it to not make it, but I didn't see the point of doing that, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, so I applied, and I was in the army for up in north of Norway, and during a winter exercise I got really sick. Oh. Yeah, and. When I was on my way back home, because we had like, I think we had a few days off or something. It's so many years ago, I don't really remember, but I remember that I got really sick, and then I ended up in the hospital, and I was lying there for I think it was 5 to 7 weeks, because my liver failed. Oh, damn. Yeah. And then it was pretty critical, and I remember my mom and dad was really scared, and I was scared too. But when I was lying there, I just thought about my life and what I wanted to do, and music was like the thing that made perfect sense. So I applied for music school and got in. At the university in Trondheim. Yeah. And I moved there. Me and my brother, we bought an apartment together, and I live there since. Now I live with my girlfriend. So,
that's so nice.
Yeah, it's super nice. So, yeah.
And for like going to school and studying music, looking back, do you think you could get to where you are now if you didn't go to school?
No.
Yeah?
No, I think it gave me another perspective on a creative, the creative process, and also like structuring your projects and work, and also understanding how sound works and how the ear detects sound and also process it. So I learned a lot about music technology and acoustics, and also mixing and mastering songs. I usually do most of my mixing and mastering myself. So yeah.
Was going to school something that you want to do, or did your parents kind of want you to get a diploma?
No, my parents have never pushed me to do anything actually. Even with I remember as a kid, they always encouraged me to try out different stuff, and always like, you should try out this, if you don't like this, you should try this, but they never pushed me. They were always supportive, and if I wanted to for example swim, and there were like a competition far away, they drove me there and cheered me up, but they never pushed me.
Yeah, wow. And then, so after you graduated, was MATOMA your first moniker, or did you go under a different name? Or?
No, yeah, I had a different name. It was terrible. Like, I don't even want to talk about it because it was so bad.
What kind of music did it sound like?
No, it was like in the same direction.
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't that creative, so me and my brother, we had been to a concert. I think it was Calvin Harris playing at a festival.
Yeah.
And we had this after party, and he came up to me and he like, Tom, your music is great, but your name sucks.
Oh, really? And then he really just took his advice and his MATOMA.
No, actually, like, we were arguing like crazy, and one of my friends, he misunderstood the conversation, and he thought like we were about to fight.
Oh, wow.
So we went between me and Dan, and he said like, Tom, Dan, you need to take life easy, like just spread the love, and there's no worries in life, Hakuna Matata. Yeah. My brother, he wanted to backphrase that and say like Hakuna Matata and give me a hug, but he was a little tipsy, you can say, because it was after party and we had been drinking a little. So he said it wrong, he said Hakuna Matoma, and I just like, snap, Matoma, that's sick. Yeah.
That's so cool. Does your brother still do music now, or what is he?
No, he's a chemist engineer.
What? So, that's so random. Yeah. Wow.
No, so he works for an oil company.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But he still lives in Trondheim. Yeah. So I see him quite often.
And then after you graduated, where was your career at by that point?
It was very fresh. I had some buzz. I remember from some blogs and music sites that wrote about my remixes, and I had APA, my agency, showing me.
Oh, so when did you actually start to get like picked up? Like during your like early years of university?
No. It was on the last few months of my bachelor thesis. So. Actually, when I was finished with school in June, delivered my bachelor, I was done. I made the decision to go on tour in Canada for 3 weeks in that fall, and just like work on music full time. So I had a job. I was a personal assistant for a guy in a wheelchair. I also had that job during my years at the university, but sadly he passed away. Oh yeah. And during the time when you were in university, you did like resident DJ for like Club Society or something, like you're already like practicing your skills. Yeah, you can't call it a residency, but yeah, I was a student DJ, playing at the student community. Yeah. So that was fun, and also very. It learned me crowds can be different. Yeah, so you need to. I played a bunch of different music, but one thing I remember was that I tried to play old school hip hop because I really liked that, but the Norwegians they didn't connect to it in the same way as the American.
Yeah.
So, and at that time, like that island tropical sound was very hot. I remember like Thomas Jack was huge on SoundCloud, and Baker Mate, and so I really like this new disco type of flavor that a guy called Oliver Nelson had. He had some really sick remixes, and then I just like tried to experiment with like taking new disco and tropical and make my own mix.
Yeah.
And adding like that hip hop vibe to the songs, and I ended up doing this remix Old Thing Back. And at that time I didn't think it was gonna be that big, but then suddenly like it blew up on SoundCloud because Hype Machine. I think it got #1 on Hype Machine like a couple times.
Yeah.
And blogs wrote about it, and then suddenly Atlantic Record they called me and they wanted to sign it as a official single and sign me as an artist, and it was truly exciting times. So
how were you able to even think of getting your music out there? Because you didn't really have people around you in Norway who like knew what to do.
I had a very close and good friend that helped me out. Frode, his name was. He's still my close friend, and I don't talk to him that often now because we're both very busy. So, but he helped out a lot, and he said to me like, Tom, you need to wait with signing to management, and you need to take your time and just like focusing on the music, and you're on the right path. So I did like a lot of Norwegian agencies and also management, they reached out, but I waited, and then suddenly like the US started to show interest, and I ended up signing with a guy called Andrew, and he worked for Dexstar, but then he started his own company, Milton Archer, and I have been with him since.
Wow. Yeah,
and he's such a great guy, and he's a family guy, and he has a good personality, good energy. He do it for the right reasons, like the music and the passion. And also my agent Ferry is truly amazing, and also my agent in Norway. Like they have really built me in a amazing way that makes it easier for me to live both the artist life but also have a personal life.
Yeah. So. And what was the turning point when you realized that you like wanted to start doing your original stuff, like after all the remixes?
When I signed to Atlantic and signed the record deal.
Yeah. Did you feel like you had pressure to like, okay, like now I have to like know how to do sessions and original music?
No, not really. Like I love that creative and fun environment where you go in the studio and you start from scratch and you write the songs. But now I work both like that, but I also work on just getting acapellas, and I produce on the acapellas. It's almost like remixing, but then they end up being your original songs because you just have grown to a place where your name is respectable in the industry, and they want you to produce it and have you as the artist. So
did you ever think like you didn't want to be like that tropical house like remix person, or was that never like something that occurred to you?
I never put my my songs into that genre. Like, for example, All Thing Back, I don't feel is a very typical tropical house song. Like, there's nothing about that song that is house. You have the drums are not house, the BPM is not house. It's more a new disco flavored song with tropical elements. But if it makes sense for people to put it into tropical house, then it's tropical house. Like, as long as people connect to the music. But I feel like my evolvement into other sounds and into other genres has been slightly underestimated, because like All Night isn't tropical, False Alarm isn't tropical, the new Noah Cyrus track Slow isn't tropical, even Girl at Coachella, it's more a reggae inspired song with a few tropical elements, but people like to call it tropical house, and even people think that those tracks are remixes, but
yeah. How do you think your music has changed from the really early songs you put out?
I think like my music, because I always want to evolve and always want to make something new, but still when you put on a MATOMA track, you can hear that it's MATOMA. And I feel that I've accomplished that, but in an exciting and cool way of doing other songs in different genres. But what is the genre today? Like, if you listen to a pop record, like, it's easily tropical house, it's easily something else. So yeah. And you and your girlfriend are so cute. Yeah, thank you. No, she's amazing. Seriously, like, she's.
How did you meet her? Was it through music or?
We met at the venue I was playing, but after my concert, and she didn't even attend the concert, so she didn't know who I was. And I was standing outside and taking pictures with some people that wanted to take a picture with me, and she walked by, and they were like laughing a little because they didn't know who I was, and they maybe thought it was funny that it probably looked like we were taking selfies. So they like smiled a little, and then the security guard, he said like, "Oh, shouldn't you take a picture?" They like, "Why?" and I told them this funny story that I was the guy that liksom that I don't remember, but I tried to be funny in a way, and I said that I worked at the venue, and it had become like this gimmick to take pictures with me because I cleaned up the mess of all the girls in the bathroom or something. and they laughed, and we ended up taking a picture. And then a few weeks later...
This is your first couple photo.
Yeah, actually. And then,
that's so cute.
Yeah, and then a few weeks later, I played at her town where she grew up, and she texted me like, "Hey, I see that you're coming to my town. Do you let me know if you want to meet up?" And of course I wanted to meet up. Yeah. She was like the nicest and cutest girl I had ever seen. So we met, and we just connected, and since then we've been together. Yeah.
What does she do?
She's in school. So she studies. Yeah.
Has it been difficult, like traveling so much and doing so much music?
I think every relationship is difficult, but it's all about the communication and talking to each other and meeting each other's meeting each other in the middle and respecting each other, and also listening to each other. Yeah. So it hasn't always been easy, but like true love is true love, and she is the one that has always she supports me every single day, and I hope that I support her in the way that she supports me. So yeah.
What would you say have been your biggest challenges in your music?
In my music? When you sign to a big label and you commit to a big label, it's a huge team that work for you. So they have a certain amount of expectation in the products you deliver, and sometimes I deliver songs that I am truly happy with, but then the feedback isn't that great.
Yeah.
And then you end up doing all these different versions of the songs.
Yeah.
I remember I did one song, it didn't come out, but I think I was on like version 30.
Damn.
And I've been working on the song for a year.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, but then suddenly like you have other songs that go smoothly, and the creative process is fast and everybody loves it. And then Slow was an example of that, but that song also took some time to release because the strategy behind it and also the push. But I have to say, like, the label, they have done an amazing job in like finding the right songwriters for me and finding the right people for me to go in the studio with, and also future artists. But also my manager, he do an amazing job. So I think we're a very close team that have such a passion for music and such a love for what we do. So we're just like people that want to make other people happy with spreading love and spreading music.
Yeah.
So
how would you say you've grown as a person since when you started?
I feel I'm the same person.
Yeah.
Like, of course I become more mature, and I feel and think that turning 26 is a more mature age than being 23 years old.
Yeah.
Like mentally and also physically. So it's like you can feel that your body is starting to slowly just like. So you need to do more exercising, and mentally you need to have routines that doesn't make, like, it's hard to travel a lot.
Yeah.
And it's physical and also mentally exhausting. So then it's nice to have a team around you that supports and also give you the balance in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yep.
What do you want to be remembered for?
What I want to be remembered for? Spreading the love.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.